Hey there, welcome to the Flute 360 podcast. I'm Dr. Heidi K. Becki, and I'm a flutist, educator, coach, and podcaster. My God-given mission is to serve you. I am passionate about guiding you, the modern-day flutist, to discover your unique voice on and off the stage. The goal of this podcast is to help you thrive, both as an artist and as a musicpreneur. Go ahead and grab some espresso, your favorite notepad, and let's get to it. Today's episode 222 is titled, Learn How to Become a Profitable YouTubing Flutist with Joanna Soh, Part 1. Hey friend, I am so excited to present this information to you, and this conversation with Joanna Soh is remarkable. We had such a great time that our conversation went 2 full hours. I kid you not. The last time that happened with me and Flute 360 was with Sam Ruddy. So you know it's got to be good. We could not stop. So the first thing I would encourage you to do is to support Joanna and go to her YouTube channel that's called Just Another Flutist. She pours out information into your earbuds today about YouTubing and how she is now profitable through her YouTube channel. I wanted to give you a fine example of somebody who's doing something unique and different within the industry. She's paving her own path, and yet she's creatively and financially fulfilled. She's doing her thing. She's in her element. And yes, it may not look like a career through the traditional path, but she's killing it through her own path. This information should empower you. It should make you feel that you can conquer anything that you put your mind to. I want to give you that boost of confidence today. So before we get into the conversation, I want to personally invite you to something that I've been working really hard on with my colleagues. It's called the Ultimate Music Business Summit, and we are going into year 3. It's the 3rd annual event, and we are so pumped. We have close to 30 presenters who are giving their best through their presentations. When I say giving their best, I mean we have hand-selected the creme de la creme of the music business industry. So me inviting you to the UMBS is so appropriate for a conversation like this with Joanna. These presenters resemble the Joannas of the world. They are the doers. They are the action takers. Through this 3-day event, they are going to be highlighting their field of expertise within this 3-day event. So whether it is a topic for the modern day musician, such as marketing or blogging, we have everything in between. We want to see you thrive in 2023. And this summit beautifully kicks off the year with the tangible steps that you need in order to make that happen. So all you need to do is go to musicsummit.biz, that's musicsummit.biz, grab your ticket, and we cannot wait to see you at the beginning of January. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me at heidikbegay.com. See you soon.
Hello.
Hi, Joanna.
Hi, it's so nice to meet you.
Oh my goodness. Likewise. How are you?
I'm doing great. How about yourself?
Good. No complaints.
Fantastic.
So where are you right now, like location-wise?
Well, location-wise, I'm in Seattle, Washington. And this has been my home since 2014, something like that.
Ooh.
I've been here a while, yeah. Time flies, man. Like every time I think about it, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm coming up to like 9 years here, which is insane.
So are you originally from another state?
So that's actually a funny kind of slightly complicated story. So, I mean, that's a good one to get into. I originally was born in California, so in the San Francisco Bay Area. And then I lived there until I was like 14. And then my family moved up to Vancouver, BC. And I lived there until I was like 21 or so. Like I had just finished my bachelor's there. And then I actually failed my master's audition while I was up there in Canada. And I was like, oh, shoot, what do I do now? So I was like, I think what I'm going to do is just go back to California and like find myself and like, who am I? And, like, because I kind of felt like I had done sort of like half of my growing up in California and half of it in Vancouver. So I had a bit of like an identity crisis. So I was like, I kind of want to find the California version of myself, So I ended up working a little bit in the Bay Area, just like teaching flute, and then ended up getting a master's as well at the State U, San Francisco State U. And then, but after that, I just kind of felt like I couldn't really get a footing in California. Like I couldn't really establish like my own studio and like my own career there. So I was like, you know what? I have nothing to lose. So I'm just going to up and move somewhere where I want to move to. And, my family was still even now is still in Vancouver. And so I was like, I'd still want to be in the States, but I don't want to be too far away from them. So I was like, what about Seattle? Seattle is only like a 2.5-hour drive away from the border. And so I was like, let's just move there. So I went to the Flute Festival here to test out the scenery and to see how things are, how the flutists are here. Everyone's super chill here. So I was like, I love it. I'm going to move. So I just like did that. I feel like everyone in their 20s has that like crazy thing that they do. So my crazy thing was I'm just going to up and move to Seattle for like no reason at all, because I just had nothing to lose. And then this ended up being my home. Like, I feel like the culture here is very much like me. And, the people here are like me. So like, I just kind of feel like, I feel like I'm at home. And then, but that's the whole kind of like pretty much just moved up and down the West Coast, basically.
Oh my goodness. I love that answer. And I'm going to put a pin in this nugget that you gave. And that was finding yourself and refining yourself and having this identity crisis. I think that in of itself could be an entire episode. But I'm going to shift over here just for a hot second because for the listeners out there who may be watching this on YouTube, you can see that Joanna and I are completely like jumping out of our seats, so giggling. And that's because I am such a huge fan of yours. Oh my goodness. Your YouTube channel is like on fire. You are all the things that I wish I was 5, 10 years ago, or even now.
Thank you.
And I've been watching you from afar, and I literally was like, hey, Joanna, Flute 360 guest, let's do it. Link here, and we're here. And it's like, wow, okay. And so that's why I think, well, I can only speak for myself, but that's why I'm so giggly, because it's like you and I connected in such a short amount of time, but I feel like I know you. I feel like I've been watching your career. I've been watching your life through your YouTube channel. And you are here in my studio. And I'm so excited.
That's so great. I always tell everyone that I feel like the most spoiled flutist and the most spoiled flute teacher, because this happens all the time. It's like, I think the thing with, and a lot of content creators will say this, is that when you make content online, who are the people who are going to watch it? It's going to be people like you. Because these are the people who share the same humor, they have the same experiences. And so like there is that draw of like, okay, like, this person is going to like understand me, right? So from the content creator's point of view, you're essentially just like attracting like very like-minded people with very similar humor, similar backgrounds. So like I feel very spoiled because I don't necessarily really have to introduce myself. People just know how to talk to me because they just know what I'm like. And like my own flute students too, a lot of them will just show up with the books that I want them to have already by the first lesson. Because you know how usually you have to be like, oh, you should get this book, you should get that book, and you should get this book, and blah, blah. I don't have to have that conversation because they just are like, they just show up with everything. And I'm just like, I am the most spoiled flutist in the world because of this. So
that's amazing. I am going to use that and I'm going to steal that forevermore.
Yes,
and
do it. Yes. I keep telling people to do it.
Okay. Yeah. Well, if I can remember to credit you, I will. But that's exactly how I feel. And I work at the Carolyn Nussbaum Flute Shop in Plano, Texas, and we have different levels to our relationship. I won't go down that rabbit hole. But the point is, when people come into the store, I see this reaction and I don't know quite how to take it. And I forget that I am the 360 host. I literally forget that because for me in that moment, I'm a human having a human interaction in that moment. And I know I'm Heidi, but I forget that I'm Heidi of Flute 360. Does that make sense?
Yes. That is exactly how I feel too. Because every time I come on call with like a new student or, you know, someone who's asked me to like, you know, like help them with their flute trial or something like that, I just forget that like to them, I am this like just another flutist persona, you know? And to me, I'm just Joanna, is this whatever, right? You know? And then it's just so funny when you realize that they actually do know a huge like part of your personality too, you know? And it just makes it so much easier to talk, you know? Like at least I find it does. I know that some content creators, they actually put on a persona and that may not be that in line with their real personality.
Interesting.
So I have heard of some content creators saying that like, you know, it's hard for them because they just want to be themselves. But for me, I mean, my name is literally just another flutist. So it's like, I'm not putting on a show. Like, this is just who I am. And like, I'm going to be like this in real life, you know?
I totally resonate with that. I try to be my most authentic self, either in-person events or opportunities and building those relationships versus this virtual world, podcasting world. Because if I am not my true self through and through, I'm going to get all messed up. Like, who am I? And one, I think listeners can hear that and feel that and smell that from a mile away, you know? And so, of course, I'm not perfect, but I really try to strive. And it's hard sometimes when that camera and the microphone is on. It's so hard not to be like a Paris Hilton and be like, and start you know what I mean?
Like, this is how you do it. I know how to do this. Because it's taken a long time for me to admit on camera when I don't know something, but people actually love it. They actually really love it when you say you don't know something because people love to correct, people love to teach, people love to share. I think at the bottom of it, all of us flutists who are online are just little nerds who love to share. And so like, I think tapping into that by saying, I don't know this thing that you just told me about, it actually does make it really fun. But you do have to like, I definitely had to like get over that feeling of like, oh no, will they think I'm a fraud? You know, like that imposter syndrome is so real, you know? And so, but I was like, no, like people actually like it when you say that you don't know something because that gives them an opportunity to share and like be a nerd with you, you know? Like, people love that. So I've started to actually just lean more into that. So like the moment I don't know something, I'll just say, I don't know it. I'd have never heard of that. Tell me about it, you know? Yeah. And it just makes for a great time. Yeah. Like, tell me, give me the deets, you know? Like
I want to learn.
Yeah, exactly.
And I will follow up and I will do one step further maybe. And I will say, and I'm mentioning this because I resonate so much with that answer. I will say, I don't know. Can I get back to you later? Can I like research it or can I kind of experiment with X topic or whatever and get my hands messy? And then let's talk further about so-and-so. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so great. That. Yeah. I love it. 'Cause it's just, come on, like at the bottom of it, like, because you're doing a podcast, I do this YouTube channel, like at the bottom of it, we want to share, you know? And and the sharing goes both ways. So like, I did get caught up for a few years with this, like, because in the beginning I was really just sharing. It was just for fun, and I just make these stupid videos, of like how to blow into the flute or whatever, like I just made these stupid videos because like it was more of like a catharsis for me. Like I had just graduated from university and I just wanted to get it out of my system. And, I made all these like really snarky videos. Like if you think about it, the humor in them is pretty snarky. So like, it was more of like an outlet for me, really. It wasn't me actually trying to teach people. I know that sounds really weird. Yeah. But then because I made all those how-to videos, a lot of people were like, oh, hey, like this person knows how to play the flute. So we'll just keep asking her. And then so because I was bombarded with these questions of how to do this, how to do this, how to do that, how to do this on the flute, I started to get caught up in that feeling of like, oh no, like I'm expected to know all this stuff. So it took a while, like I got burnt out from that. And then after getting burnt out from that, I was like, no, I need to change something. I need to change my attitude. I need to change how I speak to people about this. I need to be willing to say that I don't know, But yeah, I totally got burnt out from that for a while. And then kind of slowed down my YouTube videos. But now I'm going more into live streaming because live streaming allows you to be even more authentic.
Yeah. Take it or leave it.
You can't hide. Take it or leave it. This is not edited, It's live. So what are you going to do about it, right?
And as a content creator, that has a completely different feeling. Even like 5 minutes before this call, I was like, hey, Joanna, we're recording right at the top of the hour, and it's because you're a professional. We're going to go for it because I feel like you can't recreate those moments. You know what I mean? You can't. And it's so funny. And I knew that you would be in that space with me before even talking to you because I'm like, oh, she's such a pro. But when you
thank you.
When you have guests come on, and I love guests from all facets of life, whether they are health practitioners or flutists or performers, inventors, hence the 360-ness. When that guest really hasn't been in the podcasting or YouTube world, because especially for podcasting, they treat it like a recording session. They feel like they're going into the booth. And if they haven't said a sentence just so, then they will stop and they will say, redo. And then and I'm like, oh, No.
That's not how this works.
No, it's a live conversation because people want to get to know you and you are an expert in your field. Exactly. But anyways, I digress. So Joanna has lovingly said her YouTube channel, which is Just Another Flutist.
Yeah.
Let's take 10 steps back. I want you to have the space to introduce yourself, let people know a little bit about yourself, because I will do my very best to limit this talk to an hour, but literally I have so many questions for you. I want to pick your brain so hard. If this conversation goes into 2 hours, please don't kill me.
That's fine. I have nothing scheduled after this. Okay. So you're good to go. Yeah.
Well, okay. Reason being is because, one, I want to highlight you and the extraordinary things that you're doing, but I feel like we are kindred spirits in the fact that, like you said earlier, we want to share. And by sharing, we want to equip people with knowledge and information that we have learned through our experiences to uplift them. And so if there's anything or anyone whom I would love to pick somebody's brain, it's you, because you are a doer. And if I can give my 360ers anything for this year going into 2023, it's you and your expertise. And so let the picking begin.
Do it up.
Okay.
Do it up.
All right. So you want so gentle.
Sounds good. No, you can go. It's whatever.
Okay. Okay.
So you want like a little briefing, basically, of my.
I think
channel,
so.
Right.
I think so.
Okay. So I'm Joanna. Hello, everyone. And I go by the name Just Another Flutist on YouTube. And this name came out because actually during my third year of university, I was sort of at a point where I was known more as a chamber flutist. I played much better with other people, but I was not good as a solo flutist. I just could not tap into it when I was in university. And I guess in a way to like, at least when I was in university, I feel like it might have been for you too. Do you remember in music school where like the biggest thing for a while was find your own voice and find your own tone and blah, blah, blah. And you need to like be unique, but you also have to be like traditional too. You can't just break all the rules either, you know, like, but you have to find your own voice. I could not for the life of me find my own voice. Like I could imitate anyone else. So that's why I was a really good chamber flutist, was because and I was a really good second flutist because I could always like blend right into the first flutist. I could blend into the other instruments, but I didn't really have my own voice. So I was like, well, I guess I'm just another flutist, you know? So that's kind of where that name came out of, was because I was trying to like empower myself. Like I was trying to find a way to, because I did feel like just another flutist, but in a negative way. Like I felt like, you know, I'm never going to be known for anything unique, right? Which is kind of ironic now because I do such weird things. but like I was trying to like turn that into something that I could like take back for myself. So, you know, like I'm trying to take this concept of being just another flutist and be like, no, that is my like identity, and it is a good identity. It is a fun one. And I can just be another flutist. It's exactly that meme where it's like on one side, someone's like, oh, nobody cares about me. And they're really sad. And they're really like, you know, they're just like, they're so lonely. But then on the other side of the meme, they're like, nobody cares about me, so I can do whatever I want, right? And it was exactly that attitude of like where Just Another Flutist came from, was because on the one hand, I was feeling really negative about it. But then I was like, let's just embrace it. Let's just embrace being just another flutist. So my YouTube channel first came out of that. At first, I was not comfortable making any how-to videos because I was not done school yet. And I was like, who am I to make a how-to video of how to play the flute, right? So I didn't do that. And instead, I started with vlogs. So I just bought a little camera and just vlogged my way around the music school. Most people thought I was insane because vlogging was not really a thing back then. But I did that for the couple of years that I started my YouTube channel in music school. And then after music school was when I started to be more comfortable making how-to videos. So I started to make some how-to videos because they kind of wrote themselves, you know? So I did that for a while. And then, you know, things kind of slowed down a little bit because I was also balancing a master's on top of that. So I think at that point I was only uploading a video like once every 2 or 3 months because you know, you don't really have time when you're in school, right? So
yeah.
So I did that, and then the thing that I'm most known for now was something that I actually really wanted to do for a really long time, which was reviewing flutes. Not that I knew anything of what the heck I was doing when I kind of like ran into it. So what I did one time, a long time ago, I was still like living with my parents, you know, like broke musician, right? So like living with my parents, and the best acoustics in the house was the bathroom. So I wanted to pretend that I was doing a review. So I took and the video is still up. If you guys wanted to look really far back on my YouTube channel, the video is still up. It's still public. But I took my beginner model Yamaha that I started on when I was, you know, a kiddo. And then I took a Jupiter model flute that I had won at a raffle draw at the winter ball that my music school held. And so I had 2 flutes and that were like around the same level. So I was like, let's compare them. So I made this like stupid YouTube video where I just compared them. And looking back, I'm just like, wow, there's so many things in there that 1, I should not have said. And 2, like there's some things in there that I'm like, oh, Joanna, you do not know what you're doing. But I made it because I wanted to, and it was fun. And I just like what I had basically told myself then was like, I'm like, okay, I'm probably never going to be able to review like professional level flutes because one, who's going to rent them to me? Because I ain't buying them to review them, right? Like who in their right mind would lend them to me to review? Would the brands be okay with it? Like there are just a lot of logistical problems with this idea of reviewing flutes, right? Because the Flute Center at that time, they're not as big as they are now, right? Now they are huge, but like at that time they weren't very well known, but they didn't have the system that they have in place now.
Okay.
So
hey 360er, do not forget to purchase your Ultimate Music Business Summit ticket. It is scheduled for January 5th, 6th, and 7th, 2023. We have hand-selected close to 30 presenters who are the experts within their field. We are talking to music business experts who are going to give you tangible steps so that way you can kick off the year with a bang. Whether it's topics such as marketing, corporate sponsorships, how to defeat imposter syndrome, getting your finances healthy and wealthy for 2023, it doesn't matter. We have everything under the sun for you to really thrive being a modern day musicpreneur. All you have to do is go to musicsummit.biz. That's musicsummit.biz. Purchase your ticket, and if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to Garrett Hope, Arthur Brewer, or myself. Thanks.
So like, I just didn't know anyone who would be willing to like randomly ship flutes to me to review, right? Or do I go to a store to review it? Would they let me just like randomly play these new instruments and review them? Like who would let me do that, right? Without actually being the like person to buy them. So I was just like, there's so many logistical problems. I was like, nah, this is just going to be for fun. And I'm just going to do it for fun because this is my dream. And then I can say that I've done my dream and we're good, right? So, but what ended up happening was, I think it was shortly after I moved to Seattle, I got an email from, maybe like a year or two after I moved to Seattle, I got an email from the Flute Center, but it went to my spam. And yeah, it went straight to my spam. So I didn't even see it for a long time. And then just one day I was like, I should check my spam. And I never check my spam. Okay. I like never check it. So I was like, I'll check my spam. So I went and checked my spam. And then I saw this email from the Flute Center and they're just like, this is blah, blah, blah from the Flute Center of New York. We're contacting you because, we found your videos and we love your videos and we want to like work with you. And I was like, is this fake? Like,
is this a joke?
Right? Yeah, because it ended up in my spam. So I was like, this could be fake. But I was like, knowing the Flute Center though, like, I think it was a mistake that it ended up in my spam. So I was like, only one way to find out. Respond to it and be like, let's set up a video chat just so I know they're real, but also so they know I'm real, right? And then we did it. We had a video chat. They were real and they actually wanted to do this. And I was like, are you serious? And they're just like, yeah, like, let's just, you'll be our influencer and like, we'll just do a little partner thingy. And then like, we'll just ship you flutes. And I'm like, what? So, like,
what is this?
Yeah. Right. So like, I do always tell people like, you have no idea what is possible. You have no idea. Just do it. Just like whatever you want to do, if it is feasible for you to do. So what was feasible for me was just reviewing my two little beginner flutes.
Yeah.
Right. And, beyond that, I was like, well, I can do a bunch of how-to videos. So I did a whole bunch of how-to videos. And then people started asking for advice. So I did a bunch of advice videos. And I was just like, just do it. Like, whatever, And then they're just like, yeah, we like you. We think you're funny and we think you're down to earth. So, it aligns with our way of doing things. So let's do it. Right. So, and then that kind of happened. And then I became known for that, actually. So I became known for reviewing flutes. So now like that's essentially where we are now. So where we are now is that people know me as the flutist who basically diagnoses flutes and figures out which type of flutist would be good for which type of flute. And I love doing it live now. So I love doing live stream reviews so that people get my like real reaction, completely unedited. Because for the long time, we were making edited videos, which allowed me time to practice on these instruments for a bit before and figure them out before filming it. But then after a while, I was like, no, I'm getting to a point now where I want people to see me react to it live, which is really scary. In the beginning.
Brave. You are so brave.
Thank you. Yeah. But I want people to see me reacting to it live because there are moments where I figure things out about certain flutes and certain piccolos and whatever that like I would love. I was really sad that those moments were not caught on camera before.
Interesting.
So, yeah. And then especially if it's live and then they see it happen live, people get really excited because they're just like, they're literally seeing me at work, you know, they're like actually seeing the cogs turn and people love that kind of thing. So I was like, let's just do it this way. And I can't believe it. I had a meeting with the Flute Center about it. They're like, yeah, do it. We believe in you. And we're just like, I was just like, really? Like, you're okay with this, you know? So, you know, they let me do it. And then it's been really fun. The Flute Center themselves will drop in the chat too.
Wow.
Live with everyone. So people get really excited. One time, Phil Unger, the owner of Flute Center, one time he just showed up in the chat. People were just like, ah! You know, like, so it's like, it's a really great time because people feel like they're actually talking to the Flute Center, you know, and they're also actually talking to me live, you know? Sometimes I also get really good ideas from the chat too, because the chat also has a lot of professional flutists in there. A lot of like, you know, bachelor's, master's flute students in there as well who ask very good questions. And they also, you know, they ask for me to try some things that I would not have thought of. So it's almost like tapping into a hive mind where like, you know, it's beyond what I would think of to do. And so you end up with much better content that way because it's not just coming from me. So, but yeah, that's kind of where we're at. And I'm sort of venturing into a slightly new thing now because I've been hiding on Twitch, doing my practice sessions there.
Yeah.
But I've gotten to a point now where I'm ready to bring it back to YouTube. So I'm starting to toy with the idea of practicing live on YouTube. And probably currently toying with the idea of having some private practice sessions where everyone's just a fly on the wall and no one gets to talk to me. And they get to actually see what I do IRL. And then have other practice sessions where I tap into the hive mind, where I like ask them like, hey, what do you think of what I'm doing? Do you guys have any ideas? You know, so kind of having a little balance of the two, I think is really nice. So that's the current project that I'm currently thinking of to do. But that's just another flutist for you. I am being literally just another flutist. And just kind of being a nerd on the internet. So,
well, I love it. I think you're fantastic. And I think your work is phenomenal. So
thank you.
Keep doing it because
thank you.
People are noticing.
I appreciate it.
Thank you. There were so many golden gems, golden nuggets within that answer. And I'm going to try my very best to pull them out and highlight and do some follow-up questions because, okay, first, the YouTubing, the vlogging. You said you picked your name, Just Another Flutist, while you were in school. You created this thing. So are you kind of surprised where you are now with it? And as it was growing organically, did you think, well, let me ask you, initially, when you picked the name, were you thinking of branding? Were you thinking long haul trajectory? This could be a business or this could be a marketing arm to my business. Were you even thinking along those lines? Or was it just literally, this feels good to me. I like it. It's catchy, done. And you just won.
I actually was thinking of branding. If I'm being completely honest, I was thinking of branding because it's kind of interesting, a little bit personal, but I will share it. I wanted to I didn't even have a boyfriend, was very single for a very long time. But I was like, whenever I get married, I do want to change my name. I do want to change my name to take my husband's name. And now a lot of people will be like, wow, that's so crazy traditional. Why you do that, you know? But like for me, it's because I do want to have kids in the future and I want our names to match. And so I was like, I already was like, okay, it was more for just a practical reason why I wanted to change my last name. And I actually don't really have like crazy emotional ties to my maiden name. So I was like, I know that it's a big issue if you attach your full name and you plan on changing your name in the future, whether that be your first or last name, it doesn't matter. But if you were to build your whole career attaching that to their name, because like a lot of times people just, you know, their emails or their website is just, or their handles on various social media is just their first name, last name, Flute, right? Like that's very, very common. And I didn't want to do that. So I was like, I want to have a brand where that is what I'm known for. People actually know me as just another flutist and Joanna second. So, and really have people like not even really care about my last name, you know? And I did actually find this to be the case because I got married about like 3 years ago. And when I immediately changed my name, like I didn't waste any time, just like within 1 month, I had my name legally changed. And I found that as a result of branding so early, it was so easy. Straight up, people just like forgot about my maiden name.
Okay.
Just immediately. Like no one cares, you know? So like, so that's actually the very real personal reason why I decided to brand that early was because I wanted to attach a brand name to my career, not my personal name. In a way, I guess you could almost say that it's sort of like it's a way to separate work and personal, like that work-life balance. If you don't, at least for me, I feel that since I haven't attached Joanna Soh to my career, it's a lot easier to have a personal life. Like mentally speaking. Okay. You know? Yeah. So like when people like call my name Joanna or Joe or whatever, you know, like I feel that they are actually talking to me personally, not as like, you know, Miss Flutist, you know?
Ooh, so, interesting.
Yeah. So that is actually just the very real personal reason why I did it. Now, the other reason why I wanted to brand myself as just a flutist was just because I thought it'd be hilariously ironic if ever I signed contracts in the future. And the contracts all say like, oh, you know, like doing business with just another flutist, you know, like, and it would look really funny.
Oh my gosh.
And sure enough, it happened. It happened. So I have contracts. I can't show people because, you know, obviously you can't like share these contracts. No. But it's just funny to me. Like I look at it, I'm just like, you know, it says like doing business with just another flutist, you know, like it just looks really funny to me. And I just feel that that's very empowering, right? Because it means that like I can be like just myself and I don't have to be like a god in the flute world to be successful, you know? Yeah. And I have these contracts to prove it that they are doing business with just another flutist, you know?
That is hilarious. So, I love like, that.
I literally thought of that back when I was in school. I was like, wouldn't it be funny if I like, you know, signed a contract with just another flutist, you know?
Well, good for you to think early on about branding from the get-go because 360 literally was my dissertation. I thought it was
really?
I thought it was a means to an end. Like, get me out of the program. Let's put a bow on it. I loved it. All my listeners know I loved my DMA program. But seriously, when you're done with such an intense program, you're like, okay, next chapter.
I'm done.
Let's go. Yep. And so I thought it was just going to be, I produced my 8 episodes and then put a bow on it. Done. I'm going to get that academic job. And then after 2 years of searching and getting the job, then the job was taken away. Because of COVID, I was like, you know what? Yeah, because of COVID. And I was like, you know what? I'm done. I'm done trying to track down that traditional job. I'm going to pivot my podcast and let it be a marketing arm towards my product, services, and offerings compared to being a resume builder. So when which makes me so happy and so fulfilled because I get to be my own boss. I get to work with the students and the colleagues whom I want to work with. And I say all of that because when I was pivoting, I was really going hard thinking about, well, now that I'm seeing this as a business, do I need to repackage everything? Do I need to change my name? Do I need to right? Because now as a budding new musicpreneur, I was learning things about branding. I was learning things about marketing. And I was like, I didn't know this when I started 360. I was taking doctoral classes for a traditional flute performance degree. I was thinking, and I was trained in Shakespearean analysis and musicology and music, right? Not about branding, marketing and branding. And product suites and come on, right? So the reason why I went there was because for me, I had no clue that I was going to have that pivot. And so I was just curious for you and for your story, was that intentional or was it kind of a fluke of, oh, now I have this thing, how, it grew and now I'm here.
It was intentional.
Okay.
Yeah. And part of it was that, thank you. Part of it was that I was actually inspired by other YouTubers. So I, even now, I'm actually a patron of Huang Productions. I'm not sure if you've heard of them, but they are an Asian American filmmaking production company. And they started out just as whatever, they just kind of they were three friends and they just kind of made videos, and they made shorts and they just, I actually have seen their work before YouTube was even a thing. That is how far back they go. So they actually started on YouTube because other people were uploading their videos to YouTube.
Okay.
And then they started their own YouTube channel and I've been following them ever since. And I learned about branding through watching them. Watching how they started to actually, brand their stuff as Huang Productions. And then I was also watching quite a few other Asian American content creators. Michelle Phan, big YouTube guru, probably the first YouTube makeup guru. And so her branding is huge too. And watching these people fall into that. Right. And seeing how they do things, seeing how they set up their websites, stuff like that. And I noticed that in their websites, they made their own logos. They, had a certain feel to all of their stuff. So I was mimicking that actually. That's what I was doing, I was mimicking how they brand their stuff. So that's how I branded my stuff. And I was just well, I need to pick a name that everyone can remember. Because that's the thing that I noticed about these is that these are all names that people can remember. So I was I need people to just remember the name Just Another Flutist, right? And it's so easy to remember that name, Just Another Flutist, because it, on the one hand, rolls off your tongue. And two, it is the truth. It's kind of so starkly the truth. And no one wants to admit that they are just another flutist, but for me to actually adopt that as my branding, I think is very, I could tell would be very striking to people because it's so against what everyone else was doing for their branding. Because most of the time when the flutist brands themselves, we know how we are, right? We love to be in the spotlight. We love to be the diva. We love to be the, the princess, the queen, And so a lot of these names that people would choose for themselves for their handles included some type of bravada to it, right? And mine was the complete opposite of that. So I was by being the complete opposite, that makes me unique. So I'm not actually fighting to have as much bravado as other people. I'm going the complete opposite. And that's what makes me different. That's actually what I was thinking when I was in school.
That's amazing. So
I was thinking if I couldn't be the top, I would be the best average person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the best version of yourself.
Yeah.
Because we are all unique thumbprints, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that, if I'm being very honest, Joanna, I have put my foot in my mouth so many times as a guest on other people's shows. Oh my gosh, the things that I say sometimes, I'm just like, what? No, and it's only because, it's the truth. It's the truth.
Yeah,
but it's along these lines of uniqueness. I have said things in the past like, I am not, and I will say a famous person's or flutist's name. I am not, let's use Jean-Pierre Rampal. I am not Rampal, but Rampal is not me. And, right? And, it's the truth, but it feels like such a solid, naive, almost stupid comment because people then go aghast, like, what do you mean you're not, Rampal's not you? I'm like, yeah. But I'm trying exactly what you just said. I want it to be the best version of me. But the thing is, Joanna, nobody can be you and vice versa. And you can't be Joe or Jane. And I think that's one thing that I really want to get clear through the airwaves to listeners and to this new generation and upcoming flutists and the current flutists out there who are trying to find their way is you really have to own that confidence and be so comfortable in your own skin where you can say things like that and not vomit inside of your mouth. You know what I mean? Because I'm sure 20, 30, 40 years ago when our teachers were in school, if one of them said something like that, people would be like shocked, right? But now
people were shocked when I was in school and I called myself just another flutist, you know?
Thank you so much for listening to part 1 of this 3-part series with the fabulous Joanna Soh. To ensure that you hear parts 2 and 3 of this conversation, make sure that you are subscribed to the Flute 360 podcast. We can be found through 25 different apps such as Apple, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Podbean, and Amazon Music. Once you subscribe, if you feel so inclined, feel free to also leave a rating and a review. I would so appreciate it. And once you do, let me know. I would love to give you a shout out through the air. Thank you so much for your support and talk to you soon. Let's talk about flute.